Good morning, students. I don't know how to say how are you, but I hope you're all safe and doing well wherever you are. I welcome you all to this week continuation of our coursework. Before I go ahead with this presentation, I would like to recap some of the topics that we covered so far in this course. If you could remember, we started this course with the structure of wood, then we spent some time on this topic. Then we covered defects in wood, and before the lockdown, we were talking about some of the properties of wood, and I think we were pretty much done with this topic as well. Today, we're going to be starting our fourth topic in the course outline, which is wood seasoning or timber seasoning. So, what is seasoning? Well, the definition is the removal of moisture content that is present in timber in its green state, or freshly cut or freshly harvested trees. If the process is not controlled properly, that is, the removal of moisture is not controlled properly, different defects can occur that can ruin the quality of the timber. For example, you can have fungi in the wood, or you can have mosses growing on the wood, or even you can even attract different insects that can ruin the quality of the wood, as you can see in these pictures below. When you do seasoning, you aim for drying out the wood to suitable moisture content, ideally up to 22% or less. So when you do seasoning, you have to keep a few things in mind. For example, if the place where your wood is going to be used is going to be very heated, you need to remove a maximum amount of moisture content from that wood. Otherwise, if there's going to be more moisture in that wood, it will deform or it's going to distort when a lot of that moisture is going to be lost because of the very higher temperature in that area. And again, if that area is just like heated to a normal extent, you need to have up to 11 to 13% moisture. And if your area where that wood is going to be used is only occasionally heated, you can even have a higher moisture content, and so on and so forth. Now, as you can imagine, there are a number of ways that are used to season the wood. One of the first methods that is used to season the wood, especially in countries like Pakistan and India, is that you season the wood by drying it out in the open air, where you stake the wood under some sort of shelf and you leave it for some time in order to let it dry out. However, if the seasoning is meant for some commercial purpose, or if it is required for maintaining a certain amount of moisture content in the wood, especially if the wood is rather expensive, specialized kilns are designed that are used to season the wood. I have provided a link below where you can see these two methods in detail. So in this slide, we'll be talking a little bit more in detail about natural or air seasoning. So in order to do natural or air seasoning, timber is roughly sawn to size and staked in open air using spacers. The ends of the beams are painted in order to prevent splitting. If you don't paint them, they will split because they're exposed to the sunlight, or they're exposed to the wind. Then you need to protect the stake from the direct influence of the elements, as I explained in the previous point. If they're exposed to direct sunlight, they will split, they will lose moisture content, they will deform. Also, you need to protect them from wind, because if you have strong winds, that's going to ruin your stake. Also, you need to figure out how to separate timber vertically. So for that purpose, another kind of spacers that are called stickers are used. Separating timber is important because you want to have air freely moving in between different pieces of timber. Now, natural or air seasoning comes with its own advantages. For example, it's not expensive. You don't need high-end equipment to do natural seasoning. Small labor costs. Once staked, you don't need to spend a lot of money by recruiting labor, and it's environmentally friendly. You don't need any electricity, you don't need any fossil fuel, etc. But again, this method also has some disadvantages as well. For example, the drying process is very slow. You need to have a large area. And again, there's one more thing that's very important. You cannot achieve a higher level of moisture content removal by this method because you're only applying natural air or sunlight. Well, in this slide, we'll be talking about seasoning using kiln or the kiln seasoning method. There are two different types of kiln seasoning methods. The first one is compartmental kilns, which is a kind of kiln, and the second one is progressive kilns. Both methods rely on controlled environment to dry out the timber and need the following factors: forced air circulation by using large fans, blowers, etc., heat of some form, which is provided by piped steam, humidity control, which is provided by jet steams. These are the two general methods. I understand there are a number of other methods under these two headings, but we're not going to be talking about those methods in this presentation. In the compartmental kiln, this is a method where you have a single larger structure or a room where you enclose all your timber. Timber is staked just like open air seasoning method that we covered earlier on in this presentation. And then you use prolonged settings of temperature and humidity in order to remove moisture. So this is a very basic kiln method, commonly used for a limited supply of timber. Progressive kilns are industrial kilns that are used for seasoning wood in a very large amount or quantity. Timber is staked on trolleys that are progressively moved through the different chambers of the kiln. That's why it's called progressive kiln, because the trolleys where the timber has been staked are moved within the kiln in a progressive way. Each chamber has a varying atmosphere, so the timber has to face the different atmospheric settings in different chambers. That's why this method is preferred and it's more advanced and it's more expensive. Advantages include you have a continuous supply of timber which has been seasoned in a proper way. So just like air seasoning, kiln seasoning also comes with its own advantages because it's quicker, because you have a controlled environment, you achieve a much lower moisture content. Defects associated with drying can be controlled, and you have more precise rates of drying. But at the same time, you also have some disadvantages. For example, these methods are very expensive compared to air drying, and you require a continuous supervision of your chambers, of your kilns, non-stop. That's why you need to have a skilled operator, and also these methods use a lot of energy, unlike air seasoning where you don't spend anything on removing the moisture content from the timber. So this was the presentation for today. You might be wondering how moisture content is checked in the timber. So as you can see in this picture, normally we have a moisture meter, or which is kind of probe that you stick into the wood, or you insert it into the wood, and that instantly tells you how much moisture content is there. But you don't always have access to equipment like that. So there's another method that you can use where you can measure moisture content manually. So you use the following formula, which is difference between wet weight and dry weight multiplied by 100, and that also tells you the moisture content in percentage in your timber. I hope you like this presentation today. If you have any questions, you can email me on my email address, or you can use my cell phone number if you need any further information.